Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the new pathfinding system. I decided to scrap what I had and redesign it, and because what I had wasn't working very well for navigating around the station. It worked pretty well for navigating around asteroids, but the station here, there will be in every battle, basically there'll be a station. Almost every battle. Not, I can't say for certain that every battle will have a station in the game, but all the sectors will have a station. Uh, but there may be, I may add different sectors or something that don't have stations later on. You know, we'll see. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm here to talk about the pathfinding system. And the issue was that it was not very good at pathing around the complex geometry of a station, and it was basically getting stuck and just not pathing very well around it to its target vector. So I redesigned it, and what I have right now is alright. It's actually pretty good. It's eons better than what I had before. I do have to test it out with 200 ships to see how well it's going to perform, but actually I think this new system is going to perform actually better than the previous system did as far as CPU overhead using the physics system. So now I'm going to go ahead and play it, and we can go ahead and watch it fly around, and then I'll talk about certain different things. So what it's doing right now is it's going from waypoint 1 to waypoint 2. There's only 2 waypoints and it goes back and forth. And the waypoints are actually rotating around, so they're moving. The other one is over here somewhere. So the other one, waypoint 2, is over there. And the ship is attempting to make its way around right now. It's actually kind of in this area right here is very difficult for it. And it just got through there. Actually, it would have been a little better, but the ships have lateral, vertical, and horizontal thrusters that engage when it gets near a mesh to try to push it off of the mesh so it doesn't get hung up on it. And what you saw there was it going through a narrow corridor, and those forces being applied from the thrusters kind of caused it to spin out of control a little bit, even though it still made it through that little corridor. So it just made it to waypoint 1, it's working its way to waypoint 2. The important thing is that the ship is not crashing, it's not getting hung up, and it is making it to its target waypoint. See? There's waypoint 2. And it's doing so actually very efficiently. Now, as far as the navigation point chain that's being created, I can make that a lot finer, and the ship will appear, you know, sort of less robotic, or it'll have finer angles than you see here. But there is a significant cost overhead to having, you know, a finer path, basically. And because this game is going to have so many ships in it, you know, sacrifices have to be made. In other words, this needs to work as well as it possibly can. I'm not expecting it to make something perfect here, but it needs to work very well, and as importantly, it needs to be extremely efficient in doing it in order to function and, you know, run what I'm wanting to do is a minimum of 100 to 150 ships in a battle. at one time. And these waypoints are also, they can be rotating through and actually in the mesh where the ship can't reach it. And I kind of wanted that scenario to happen so I can test out what it does basically. If it can't reach the waypoint, it's just going to basically kind of loiter around. It'll just keep triggering the navigation system when it gets close, and it basically will just kind of hang out around the area of where that waypoint is. But you see, whenever it sends out the pink line cast, what happens is currently when it reaches a waypoint, there's the flight behavior templating system that is what it does is just sets a random course vector and a radius and a sphere radius around the ship, because later on I'm going to be implementing more systems at that point to control how and what the ship does when it reaches a target vector. So, but for now, our target waypoint, it's navigation target. That's just what I have it doing for now until I can expand that functionality. So far, so good. It's not crashing. It's possible for it to get a little wonky up in these areas up in here, but as long as it doesn't completely crash and get stuck. So it just reached that waypoint there, and it just set a random course correction vector. It's going to fly out to that random distance there, random vector, and then it's going to just set a path to the next waypoint in the waypoint chain. So that's what it's doing. And so it's trying to reach this one here. It's coming around. And there it went. It reached the waypoint. So it just hung a little bit right there, and you can see that the thrusters kicked in and kicked it off the mesh, and then it also executed the pathfinding system. I've been doing work also to the engine system to set different states for the engines and all sorts of things. Because basically, for this to work, the ship has to be able to control its speed depending on the angle of the next vector, the current vector it's on to the next vector, so we know how to set a target speed for it to slow down, and also to slow its rotation down, its turning. Because if it's coming up on a sharp turn, it can't be going too fast, or it'll definitely overshoot its target. Because this is physics, this is a physics-rigid body, and it's not a kinematic. So it's trying to get to this waypoint over here, which I do believe is probably up in the mesh right now, and it's not going to be able to reach it. So it's just going to try to fly around until it does. So it kind of got up in there. Okay, so I reached the waypoint. So anyways, I'm about ready to get set up to test this on 200 ships. There are some systems I need to do. For example, I need to limit it whenever a ship is colliding with another ship as opposed to a stationary object. If it's a capital ship, it'll use a longer chain. But if it's a regular ship that's not a capital class ship, then it will only it'll shorten the chain because it won't need to have an extremely long navigation point chain to improve the efficiency. And if anyone's curious, I did not get this on the asset store. I built all this from scratch. I'm pretty sure you can't buy something like this on the asset store, to my knowledge. So anyways, thanks for watching. This is the new pathfinding system. It's working pretty well, and it just needs to be improved a little bit, but it's definitely what's going to be used in the game. And I believe it will be fully capable of basically hunting the player down too. So if you have one of these ships targeting you, eventually it will find you. But in the game, there's going to be so many things to target, so many ships out there that you may not be extremely busy with one individual ship. However, they may be busy with you because their AI is going to have a threat system. So the more the player destroys things and causes damage to the opposing team, the more of a threat that player will become, and the enemy AI will start assigning more assets to combat you as your threat level rises. Anyways, thanks for watching. Until next time, guys. Goodbye.